Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. You know what's funny about social media? It's supposed to help people connect authentically, but sometimes it just shows you how disconnected you really are from the person sleeping in your bed. That's what I discovered on a Thursday night when my wife posted about finally knowing her value while I was literally in the next room, finishing the tile work in the bathroom she'd been asking me to renovate for 3 months. I'm Keith Warner, and I've been married to Stephanie for 5 years. We live in a renovated row house in Federal Hill, Baltimore. Nice neighborhood, good schools for when we eventually have kids, walkable to everything. I work as a senior data architect at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. Steph manages social media for a local boutique hotel chain. On paper, we're the kind of couple that looks perfect. Instagram perfect, even. That Thursday evening, I'd come home from work at 6, changed into old jeans and a t-shirt, and headed straight to the master bathroom. 3 weeks of evening and weekend work, and I was finally grouting the new tile. Steph had wanted a spa-like retreat, all whites and grays with those expensive subway tiles. I'd researched installation techniques, watched probably 20 YouTube videos, rented the tile saw, and done the whole thing myself. Saved us about $3,000 in contractor fees. Steph had left around 5 for girls' night at Peabody Heights Brewery. Bridget's idea, apparently. Bridget was always organizing something, always posting about it, always making sure everyone knew she was living her best life. I'd met Bridget maybe a dozen times in 5 years. She was loud, opinionated, and had recently divorced her husband for reasons that seemed to change depending on who she was talking to. I was on my knees, working grout into the last section of tile, when my phone buzzed on the bathroom counter. Usually, I ignored notifications when I was working, but something made me glance at it. Instagram. Steph had posted. I wiped the grout off my hands with a rag and picked up the phone. The post loaded, and I felt something cold settle in my chest. It was a selfie of Steph, taken at the brewery. The lighting was perfect, that golden hour glow that made everything look like a movie scene. She was looking at the camera with this contemplative expression, the kind that was supposed to convey depth and self-awareness. The caption hit like a sledgehammer. I finally know my value. Time to stop accepting anything less than I deserve. Real growth means setting real standards. Hashtag know your worth, hashtag no more settling, hashtag level up. I read it 3 times. Then I scrolled to the comments. Already 47 likes in 15 minutes. The comments were flooding in. Bridget, finally. Girl, it's about time. You've been giving 110% and getting 30% back. He needs to step up. Someone named Olivia Harrison. Remember our brunch convo? This is exactly what we talked about. Sometimes you have to show them what they're losing. Actions are greater than words. And then, the one that really got me, from Melissa Warner. My own sister. Melissa, as your sister-in-law, I love you both, but I see what you do. You're carrying more than your share. Maybe it's time Keith realized everything you handle. I set the phone down carefully, looked at the bathroom tile, at the grout still drying on my hands, at the tools I'd rented with my own money, at the 3 weeks of evenings I'd spent on my knees making this bathroom exactly what she wanted. Then I picked up the phone again and kept reading. Jenna Rodriguez, Steph's work friend. You're such an inspiration at work and you deserve that same energy at home. Don't dim your light for anyone. 12 more variations of Yes Queen and You Deserve Better and Know Your Worth. Not a single person asked what was wrong. Not one person suggested she talk to me about whatever was bothering her. Every single comment encouraged her to demand more, expect better, refuse to settle. I washed my hands, put away the grout, and cleaned up my workspace. The bathroom looked good. Really good. Steph was going to love it when she finally looked at it instead of her phone. I went downstairs to my home office and sat at my desk. Opened my laptop. Went back to Instagram and read the post again, along with every comment. Brunch convo. That must have been last Sunday. I'd spent that day fixing the fence gate that had gotten damaged in a storm, then mowing the lawn, then replacing the filter in the HVAC system because it was June and we needed the air conditioning to actually work. Steph had mentioned she was meeting Olivia for brunch at Cross Street Market. She sometimes met friends there separately from our usual Sunday tradition. I'd asked her to pick up some groceries on the way home. She'd come back with 3 bags of random stuff and no milk. The comments were too specific to be random support. Bridget knew exactly what she was talking about. Olivia referenced a specific conversation. My own sister was part of this little intervention. I leaned back in my chair and let it sink in. My wife had been complaining about our marriage to her friends. To my sister. Probably for weeks, maybe longer. Building a case against me. Gathering sympathy. And now she'd made it public. I could get angry. I could storm into the bedroom when she got home and demand she take it down. I could text my sister and ask her what the hell she was thinking. I could write my own passive-aggressive post. But none of that would actually teach anyone anything. I opened a new document on my laptop and started typing. A list. A very detailed list of everything I actually contributed to our life together. An hour later, I heard the front door open. Steph's voice called out, "Keith, I'm home." I saved the document and closed my laptop. Walked out to the living room to find her setting down her purse, still looking at her phone. She had that satisfied smile people get when their posts are performing well. "Interesting post tonight," I said, keeping my tone neutral. She glanced up briefly, then back to her screen. "Oh, you saw that? Just something that came up during girls' night. We were talking about self-worth. While I was grouting your bathroom tile." She set her phone down with a slight huff. "It's not about you. Why do you always make everything about you?" So posting about not accepting less than you deserve, right after I spent my evening doing manual labor on a home improvement you requested, that's just coincidental timing? Look, if my post makes you feel some type of way, maybe that's something you need to examine. I'm talking about personal growth. I studied her face. She actually believed what she was saying. Or she'd convinced herself she believed it. What specifically about your life requires growth? What aren't you getting that you deserve? I shouldn't have to explain this. You should just know. There it was. The deflection. The subtle accusation that I was being deliberately obtuse. But I'd been with Steph long enough to know when she was being genuine and when she was performing. This was performance. "Fair enough," I said. "When you figure out what you think you deserve that you're not getting, let me know. I'd hate for you to keep settling." I went back to my office and closed the door. For the next hour, I researched. Pulled up our bank statements. Our credit card bills. Our mortgage documents, investment accounts. Made spreadsheets. Created timelines. Built a case of my own. By the time I went to bed, Steph was already asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand, probably still buzzing with notifications. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and made a decision. If she wanted to know her value, I was more than happy to show her. If she thought she deserved better than what she was getting, I could demonstrate exactly what she was getting and what life would look like without it. My phone buzzed one more time. Another comment on her post. "You're too good for anyone who doesn't see your value." I smiled to myself in the dark. Perfect. Let's see how valuable she really thinks she is when she finds out what her standards actually bought her. Time to give her exactly what she was asking for. Friday morning, I woke up at 6. My normal time. Made coffee. 1 cup. Steph came downstairs at 7:15, still in her pajamas, expecting her usual morning routine. For the past 5 years, I'd made her a latte every morning. Frothed milk, double shot of espresso, the whole thing. It took about 10 minutes, and I didn't mind doing it. One of those small acts of service that made a marriage work. She walked into the kitchen and stopped, looking at the coffee maker, then at me sitting at the table with my single cup. "No coffee this morning?" "Oh, I made mine," I said, not looking up from my tablet. "Figured since you're focusing on not accepting less than you deserve, you'd want to handle your own preferences. I wouldn't want to assume what you think you deserve." She stared at me for a moment. "That's weird, but okay." I watched over the top of my tablet as she approached the espresso machine. We had a nice one, semi-automatic, the kind that required some technique. I'd learned how to use it properly. Steph had never bothered. She tried to pull a shot. The coffee came out watery and weak. She frowned, tried again. This time the portafilter wasn't locked in correctly and coffee grounds sprayed everywhere. "Damn it," she muttered, grabbing paper towels. Third time, she got something that resembled coffee, but the milk frothing was a disaster. She gave up and poured regular milk into the cup. I rinsed my cup in the sink and grabbed my bag. "Aren't you making breakfast?" "It's Friday. You always do omelets on Friday." I paused at the doorway. "I've been thinking about what Bridget said in your comments. About you giving 110% and getting 30% back. Wouldn't want to burden you with too much by expecting breakfast." That's not what she meant. Either way, I'm sure you can handle it. You're a strong, independent woman who knows her value, right? I left her standing in the kitchen, still trying to figure out the coffee maker. At work, during my lunch break, I made some phone calls. First, I canceled our grocery delivery service. We'd been using it for 2 years. $180 a month, charged to my credit card. Second, I canceled the house cleaning service. They came every other week. $240 a month. Third, I put our lawn service on hold. $120 a month. Fourth, I canceled the meal kit delivery subscription. $90 a month. Steph didn't even know about that one. I'd been supplementing her random grocery shopping with actual planned meals. My phone buzzed with texts throughout the afternoon. 11:30, Steph, the grocery delivery didn't show up? 11:45, me? Oh, I canceled it. Figured you'd want more control over shopping choices. Personal growth, right? Did you cancel the cleaning service too? Yes, seemed like an unnecessary expense. Plus, you mentioned wanting to be more self-sufficient. Keith, what's going on? Just adjusting to your new standards. Talk when I get home. I got home at 6:30 to find the kitchen counter still covered with coffee grounds from the morning. No dinner prep, which was unusual for a Friday. Steph was on the phone in the living room. I caught the end of her conversation. I don't know, Bridget. He's being really weird. Yeah. No, I don't think so. Okay. Talk tomorrow. She ended the call and looked at me. We need to talk. Absolutely. How was your day? You know how it was. You canceled everything. I'm just respecting your newfound self-worth. You deserve to have more control, right? You're being petty. I'm being supportive. You wanted to stop accepting less than you deserve. I think that's great. We should both evaluate what we deserve. She waited for me to ask about dinner. I didn't. Instead, I pulled out my phone and ordered Thai food. For one, when the delivery arrived, I took it to my office and ate while catching up on email. Around 8, I heard Steph's phone ding with her own delivery order. We spent the evening in separate rooms. I worked on some personal projects. She was on her phone, probably on Instagram, probably posting vague stories about her day. I went to bed at 10. She was still on the couch. Saturday morning, I woke up at 6:30 and went for my usual run. 5 miles through Federal Hill, down to the waterfront, back up. I got home, made coffee, 1 cup, and a protein shake, 1 serving. Steph came downstairs at 9:30, looking groggy. You went running without me? We ran together maybe once a month when she felt motivated. Figured you'd want to set your own schedule. Independence. This is getting ridiculous. What specifically is ridiculous? She opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't find the words. Frustration flashed across her face. I'm heading to Home Depot for some supplies. Do you need anything? No, she said, clearly too proud to ask. I left her there and spent an hour picking up things for my workshop. I returned home before she did. She didn't return until almost 3 in the afternoon, carrying 6 bags of groceries. I was in my office and heard her struggling with the front door. Didn't get up to help. 20 minutes later, she knocked on my office door. I went grocery shopping. That's great. Very self-sufficient of you. I spent $240. I usually spend about $150 a week with a planned list. Did you get everything you need? I think so. I don't know. I couldn't remember what detergent we use. Whatever you think is best. She stood there for a moment, clearly wanting me to engage more. I went back to my computer. She left. Around 4, I heard her yell from the living room. Keith, the Wi-Fi is down. I opened my office door. That's unfortunate. Aren't you going to fix it? I'm in the middle of something. Try unplugging the router for 30 seconds. Manual's in the hall closet if you need it. I don't know which one is the router. The white box with the blinking lights. You've got this. I closed my office door. For the next hour, I listened to her on the phone with Comcast. She was on hold for 45 minutes. Then the tech support person walked her through the exact same thing I'd suggested. Unplug the router. Wait. Plug it back in. It took her an hour and 15 minutes to do something I could have done in 2 minutes. When it was over, she came to my office. Why didn't you just help me? You didn't need my help. You handled it. Personal growth. Her jaw tightened. She left without another word. That evening, while she was figuring out what to do with $240 worth of random groceries, the dishwasher started making a grinding noise during its cycle. Keith, something's wrong with the dishwasher. I was in the living room, reading. Probably just needs to be checked. Manual's in the kitchen drawer. Can you look at it? I'm sure you can figure it out. I have confidence in you. She stood there, vibrating with frustration, then stomped back to the kitchen. I heard her opening drawers, finding the manual. Heard her muttering to herself. Heard her typing on her phone, Googling the problem. Then I heard a more concerning sound. Running water. A lot of it. I walked to the kitchen doorway. Water was spreading across the floor. Steph was standing in the middle of it, looking panicked. She'd opened the dishwasher mid-cycle. There's water everywhere. Towels are in the linen closet. I'm sure you'll get it cleaned up. I went back to the living room. Listened to her cleaning up the mess for the next 30 minutes. The dishwasher never got fixed. She just turned it off. Later that night, after she'd stress-eaten her way through half the random groceries she'd bought, I made myself a simple dinner. Steph watched me from the table. We didn't speak at dinner. Afterward, she posted an Instagram story. I saw it on my phone. A photo of her feet, crossed at the ankles, with the caption, "Sometimes you have to handle everything yourself." Building that independence. Flex biceps. I said nothing. Sunday morning, I was up at 7. Made my coffee. 1 cup. Steph came down at 8, looking like she hadn't slept well. I thought we could go to Cross Street Market for brunch. It's Sunday. We've been going to the market for Sunday brunch for 3 years. It was our tradition. We had our favorite stalls, our usual orders. I always paid. I have some projects to work on. You should go if you want. We always go together. Things change. New standards, remember? She looked hurt. Actually hurt. But she covered it quickly, grabbed her purse, and left. I knew she'd struggle. She didn't know which stalls we usually went to. Didn't know what we usually ordered. Didn't know that I always got us both coffee and pastries from one stall, then eggs from another, then we split everything. She came back an hour later with a small bag and a coffee cup. Went straight upstairs without speaking to me. I saw her Instagram post later. A selfie at the market, trying to look happy. Sunday self-care. Learning to enjoy my own company. The comments were full of encouragement. You're doing great. So proud of you. He doesn't deserve you. Around noon, she came downstairs. My car has a light on. What kind of light? I don't know. Orange wrench thing? Sounds like scheduled maintenance. Dealer's number is in your phone contacts. Can't you just call them? You're very capable. I'm sure you can schedule an appointment. I listened to her on the phone. She didn't know her car's VIN. Didn't know the current mileage. Couldn't articulate what service was needed. The service advisor was clearly frustrated with her. Finally, she got an appointment for Wednesday. She came back to my office. It's going to cost $380. That's pretty standard. Did you schedule it? I guess I have to. Welcome to car ownership. Later that afternoon, she realized she needed to go to Home Depot. She'd bought the wrong cleaning supplies, needed light bulbs, needed air filters for the HVAC. Can you come with me? I already went yesterday. You know where it is. She left angry. Was gone for 90 minutes. Came back looking defeated, carrying a bag from Home Depot. She'd bought the wrong size air filter. $35 wasted. I could tell because she left it on the kitchen counter with the receipt. By evening, she was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by evidence of her weekend. Wrong cleaning supplies. Wrong air filter. Receipts showing money wasted. Bills that had arrived in the mail. Bills she didn't know how to pay. The dishwasher manual she couldn't understand. The car maintenance quote. Her credit card statement from a company account she didn't have login information for. I made dinner in the kitchen, working around her. Simple pasta for one. She looked up at me as I moved about. How do you pay the electric bill? Online. The account info is in my password manager. Can you just pay it? I could, but you should probably learn how our life actually works. What if something happened to me? Nothing's going to happen to you. Still, personal growth, right? The account number is on the bill. Customer service can help you set up online access. She looked down at the bill. It had a yellow overdue notice on it. I let it slide past the due date on purpose. This is overdue. Then you should probably handle it soon. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. She was surrounded by evidence of everything she didn't know how to do. Everything I did that she'd never noticed. Finally, she looked up at me. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Acting like you don't care. I care very much. That's why I'm helping you become more self-sufficient. Isn't that what you wanted? To not accept less than you deserve? I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. Independence, control, the ability to show your value. This isn't what I meant. Then what did you mean? I finished cleaning up from my dinner and sat down across from her. Because from where I'm sitting, you posted about knowing your value while I was installing tile in your bathroom. You let your friends trash talk me in public comments. You told the world you won't accept less than you deserve. So I'm curious, what exactly do you think you deserve that you weren't getting? She opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't find words. Take your time, I said. I'll be in my office when you figure it out. I left her sitting there, surrounded by all the things she didn't know how to do. Monday morning, I found Steph already in the kitchen when I came down at 6. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. Can we talk? Of course. She wrapped her hands around a mug of terrible coffee she'd made herself. I don't understand what's happening. What specifically don't you understand? You're being cold, distant, like you don't care about me. I'm giving you space to demonstrate your value. Isn't that what you wanted? I wanted you to appreciate me more. And how was I supposed to know that? You never said anything to me. You posted on Instagram and let your friends convince you I'm not enough. They were just being supportive. I sat down across from her. Bridget said you give 110% and get 30% back. Olivia said I need to see what I'm losing. Your own sister-in-law said you carry more than your share. Were they being supportive, or were they encouraging you to devalue our marriage? You're twisting it. Am I? Let me ask you something. How much is our mortgage? She looked down at her coffee. I don't know exactly. $2,400. Do you know who pays it? You do. How much are your car payment and insurance? I don't know the exact amounts. $420 and $280. Do you know who pays those? She didn't answer. I do. Every month. Without fail. For 5 years. Along with the property tax, the utilities, the internet, the streaming services, your gym membership, and about 2/3 of our groceries. I also handle all the maintenance on this house, both cars, all the scheduling with contractors, all our financial planning, our taxes, and our investment portfolio. Do you know how much we have in investments? She shook her head. $340,000, including home equity. Her eyes widened. She'd clearly had no idea. So I'm trying to understand what you think you're not getting that you deserve. Because for the last 3 days, I've watched you struggle with things I handle every single week. And I'm starting to wonder if you ever noticed what I actually do. Tears started forming in her eyes. I notice. Do you? When's the last time the dishwasher made that noise? I don't know. It's never made that noise. It has. 3 times in the past year. I've fixed it each time. Takes about 20 minutes and requires cleaning the filter and checking the seal. You didn't know there was a filter. Why didn't you tell me about all this? I did. Not directly maybe, but I've been doing it all along. Right in front of you. You just didn't see it because it was invisible. And when your friends told you that you give too much and get too little, you believed them. Because you can see what you do. You can't see what I do. She started crying. Real tears, not the performance tears she sometimes used to win arguments. I'm not trying to hurt you, I said quietly. I'm trying to show you reality. You wanted to know your value. You wanted to see what you deserve. Well, what you deserve is determined by what you contribute. And Steph, I love you, but you have no idea what you contribute compared to what I contribute. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. I feel like such an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're just seeing the whole picture for the first time. We sat in silence for a few minutes. Then I stood up. I need to get ready for work. Think about what you want to do with this information. I left her at the table and went upstairs to shower. When I came back down, she was still sitting there, staring at her phone. She'd pulled up her Instagram post, the one that had started all of this. I should delete this. That's up to you. Your sister is going to call me. And Bridget, they'll think you made me do it. Did I? No. She looked up at me. I'm doing it because it was wrong. I complained about our marriage to everyone except you. I let them convince me you weren't enough when the truth is I'm the one who wasn't pulling my weight. She deleted the post. Then she opened a new one and started typing. I watched over her shoulder. Sometimes growth means admitting when you're wrong. I posted something last week that I regret. I let outside voices influence my perspective on my marriage, and I was completely off base. My husband is an incredible partner who does more for us than I ever acknowledged. Real maturity isn't about demanding more. It's about appreciating what you have and contributing equally. I'm grateful for the wake-up call. She showed me before posting. Too much? It's honest. That's what matters. She hit post. Her phone started buzzing immediately. Comments, DMs, texts. She looked at the screen, overwhelmed. You don't have to deal with that right now. Yes, I do. I created this mess. I need to face it. Bridget called at 7 in the morning on Tuesday. Steph answered, then looked at me. I nodded, and she put it on speaker. What the hell happened? Did Keith see our comments? He didn't have to. I realized I was wrong. Wrong about what? You were finally standing up for yourself. I wasn't standing up for myself. I was complaining about a problem I never discussed with my husband. This doesn't sound like you. Maybe the person from last week wasn't me either. Maybe that was me parroting what you guys wanted to hear. Are you serious right now? After everything we talked about? What did we talk about, Bridget? Because I remember you telling me Keith doesn't appreciate me. But you know what? You have no idea what Keith does. None. I know you were unhappy. I was insecure. There's a difference. And instead of helping me communicate with my husband, you encouraged me to post about him publicly. I was supporting you. No, you were validating my complaints without questioning them. That's not support. That's enabling. Bridget's voice went cold. I can't believe you're turning this around on me. I'm not. I'm taking responsibility for my choices. But I'm also asking you to respect my marriage going forward. Whatever. Don't call me when you realize you settled. She hung up. Steph was shaking. That was awful. But necessary. You stood up for us. She's going to tell everyone I'm brainwashed. Let her. The people who matter will see the truth. At 10, my sister called. I answered, putting it on speaker. What did you do to her? Good morning to you too, Melissa. I'm serious. Steph's post, her conversation with Bridget. What's going on? Why don't you ask Steph? She's right here. Hi, Melissa. Honey, are you okay? You know you can talk to me. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Your post was so different from what you told me last week. Because last week I was only seeing part of the picture. What does that mean? Melissa asked. I leaned forward. It means she spent the weekend handling everything I usually handle. She got a reality check. That sounds like manipulation, Keith. Does it? Let me ask you something, Melissa. When Derek was job hunting last year, who helped him revise his resume and practice for interviews? Silence on the other end. I did, I continued. And when your HVAC went out last winter, who researched contractors and negotiated the replacement cost? You did, but... And when you needed someone to watch the kids for your anniversary trip, who did you call? You did. Her voice was quieter now. So when you commented on Steph's post that she does more than her fair share, were you comparing our actual contributions or just validating her feelings? Long pause. I didn't think about it that way. None of you did. You heard her complaining and you validated it without questioning whether her complaints were fair. Steph spoke up. I love you, Melissa, but you were wrong. I was wrong. We all were. I'm sorry. Melissa sounded genuine. I should have asked more questions. Thank you, I said. The call ended better than it had started. That afternoon, Steph met Olivia and Jenna for lunch at Atwater's in Canton. I encouraged her to go, to face it head on. She didn't return until after 6:30, looking exhausted. How'd it go? She dropped her purse on the counter. I think I just ended 2 friendships. Tell me. She told me about the lunch. How Olivia had accused her of being submissive. How Jenna had said she was no longer inspiring. How Steph had asked them both what their partners contributed to their lives. Olivia couldn't list anything beyond emotional support. And when I pointed out that Keith does everything she does for herself, plus everything a supportive partner does, she got defensive. Said I was being unfair. And Jenna? I told her she'd never been in a long-term relationship, so maybe she wasn't qualified to give me marriage advice. She looked like I'd slapped her. How do you feel? Sad. But also relieved. Is that weird? Not at all. Sometimes we outgrow people. She sat down at the table. They were never really my friends, were they? I think they were friends to the version of you that complained. Not friends to the version of you that's trying to grow. That evening, I cooked dinner for the first time in 5 days. Made her favorite, chicken piccata with angel hair pasta. She helped, taking direction, learning. Over dinner, she said, can you teach me? All the stuff I don't know? I want to actually be a partner, not just someone who lives here. I'd love that. After dinner, I brought my laptop to the kitchen table. Pulled up all our accounts, our passwords, our financial information. Spent 2 hours walking her through everything. Our mortgage, investments, monthly expenses, tax strategy, and savings goals. She took notes, asked questions, really listened. How did you learn all this? Slowly, over years, trial and error. Nobody's born knowing this stuff. Why didn't you teach me before? Honestly, you never asked, and I didn't realize you didn't know. I just assumed you knew and didn't want to deal with it. That's fair. I didn't want to deal with it. It was easier to let you handle everything. And now I see what easier for me means. It means harder for you. That's not a partnership. 2 months later, our life looked different. Better different. Steph now handled half the bills. The ones she'd learned. She paid them early, tracked them in a spreadsheet she'd created. She'd taken over car maintenance scheduling for both vehicles and actually understood what the services meant. One Saturday morning, I heard her in the kitchen. Heard tools. Found her kneeling by the dishwasher, the filter removed, cleaning it out. Look, she said proudly, showing me the cleaned filter. This is what was making that noise. You figured it out. I watched a YouTube video. Took me 20 minutes, but I did it. She'd reorganized our budget, found $200 a month in savings by cutting subscriptions we didn't use. She'd taken over meal planning and actually used lists. We split cooking 60-40 now, with her doing more than she ever had. She'd found a new friend through work. Someone who asked real questions instead of just validating complaints. Someone in a healthy marriage who talked about communication and partnership. Melissa and Steph had coffee once a month now. Their relationship had recovered. Melissa had apologized, really apologized, and meant it. Bridget unfollowed Steph on all platforms. Steph had blocked her back. Last I heard through mutual friends, Bridget was still posting about knowing her worth, still dating someone new and already complaining about him online, still living beyond her means and blaming everyone else for her problems. Olivia had sent an apology text a month after the lunch. Steph had replied politely but kept her distance. Olivia was on her third relationship crisis of the year. Some people never learn. Jenna had quit her job, unrelated to the lunch, and they hadn't spoken since. On a Sunday morning in late August, Steph posted a new photo on Instagram. The two of us at an Orioles game, wearing matching orange and black, genuinely smiling. The caption, 2 months ago, I almost ruined the best thing in my life because I confused feelings with facts and complaints with communication. Grateful every day for a partner who loved me enough to teach me instead of leaving me. Real partnership means seeing the whole picture, contributing equally, and appreciating what you have. Sometimes the best growth comes from the hardest lessons. #Orioles, #actual partnership. The comments were all positive, supportive, authentic. New friends, co-workers, even some old friends saying they were proud of her. No snarky comments. No negativity. The toxic voices were gone. That evening, we stood in our master bathroom, looking at the tile work that had started this whole journey. Over the past 2 months, she'd helped me add the final touches, caulking the edges, installing new fixtures, adding the finishing trim. She'd learned how to use the tools, gotten grout on her hands just like I had that Thursday night. Remember when this started? She asked. When I posted about knowing my worth. I remember. I thought I knew what I was worth. Turns out I had no idea. And now I know my worth is measured by what I contribute, not what I demand. And I know your worth is everything. The house, the stability, the patience to teach me instead of just leaving. You're worth teaching. That's why I stayed. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for being willing to learn. Her phone buzzed. A notification. Bridget had posted something. Steph glanced at it, didn't open it, put her phone away. Not interested. Good. You know what's funny about social media? It's supposed to help people know their worth, but sometimes it just helps them perform worth they don't actually have. My wife almost destroyed our marriage because she confused likes with value and comments with truth. But she learned. She learned that real worth isn't posted, it's demonstrated. It's not demanded, it's earned. And it's not about accepting less than you deserve. It's about understanding what you deserve by understanding what you contribute. Steph learned the difference between demanding standards and meeting them. She learned what her standards actually bought her and what they cost me. And 3 days after I showed her that reality, her entire attitude shifted. Sometimes the best way to show someone their value is to give them exactly what they ask for, the chance to prove it. Steph asked for independence. I gave her 3 days of it. And she discovered that what she thought was settling was actually the best partnership she'd ever have. 2 months later, Bridget was still single, still posting about knowing her worth. Olivia was on her 4th relationship crisis of the year. And Steph was finally becoming the partner she'd always claimed to be, not by demanding more, but by contributing equally. She learned her value. I demonstrated mine. And together, We rebuilt something stronger than what almost broke. That's what real growth looks like. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.